Good morning. Good morning, Tom's River. Good morning, everybody. My name is Phil Brilliant, and this is Simply Brilliant for Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Remember to make sure you date things 2026 because it's no longer 2025. It is amazing. We are flying along here. We are already 13 days into the year, and not much has changed in Tom's River. Still a lot of battling going on. We still have a recall going on for Mayor Daniel Rodrick. We have technically 10 days left because we need to hand in the petitions by 4 p.m. on January 23rd, even though the date 160 days from when it was certified to start the petition would put us to January 25th, but that's a Sunday. And as much as most people in the administration, the clerk, the business administrator, the mayor, we know they don't work the hours that everybody else in Tom's River works. We can't hand it in on Sunday. It's got to be handed in on Friday at 4 o'clock. We are still about 3,500 signatures short. But that just hits that actual number of 18,464. We really need like 20,000 signatures minimum because we know some are going to get rejected. And when I say rejected, in going through for validation purposes, we have seen Thomas sign as Tom. Not good. We've tried to go back out to those people. We have seen people sign with their address, but in the voter registration, they've moved and never updated their address. So that's a problem. It has to match the name in the voter registration list. So if you are Thomas Smith, I apologize, Tom Smith. I know a Tom Smith in Tom's River. And you are 1313 Mockingbird Lane, and that's your voter registration address. It has to be Thomas Smith, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. We can argue the fact if you put Mockingbird Road, but Thomas Smith and your full address. So we'll see. We're going to keep going. We got different locations this coming weekend. We have people on the road every day. I was out last night. I got 8 signatures, stopped at 2 homes. That's really the best way is when you walk into a house or you walk up to people and there's 4 registered voters in their house. What a home run. This morning, I'm going to kind of move a little quick. There's a lot going on, but I want to talk about this one main issue. And the issue is tomorrow night at 6:30. Okay, so it's Wednesday night, January 14th at 6:30 will be really the first of the Toms River Council meetings since the reorganization on January 1st. Now, we know they did some business that day, and we know there's one issue that the mayor, actually 2 issues that the mayor has taken to task on, and when I would talk about those 2 issues. But I also want to implore upon you and ask you, come out, okay? Mayor Daniel Rodrick believes that this is quote unquote Mohill gang that are the only people upset with him and don't believe in what he is doing here in Toms River. Now, we have over 15,000 signatures to tell him differently, but he doesn't really listen to anybody except for himself and the voices in his head. They must be amazing 24 hours a day. But if you come out on Wednesday, January 14th at 6:30 at Town Hall, parking is free. Park in the parking deck. Park somewhere. Make sure it's legal. You will continue to show the people of Toms River that Daniel Rodrick must go. And whether we succeed or not on a recall petition, whether we succeed or not on a recall election, the people of Toms River have to continue to speak and must hold this administration, Daniel Rodrick, accountable for what he has done here in town. So let's talk about what's on this agenda for tomorrow night, okay? First thing on the agenda, I'm looking at the agenda right now, I apologize, is a second reading of an ordinance, a final reading of an ordinance. to extend the promotion lists of the Toms River Police Department. And Daniel Rodrick has come out against this. And there's an article that just came out. I actually haven't even read the entire article. It is from Karen Wall of the Toms River Patch. Read it. It's entitled, Toms River Council would extend police promotion list, say that 10 times fast, but mayor objects. The mayor and council fight over promotions while the Toms River Police Department staffing dips to its lowest since 1991. Let that sink in. 1991. I came to Toms River in 1993. So that's before I even came to Toms River. Okay. There are almost 100,000 people in Toms River. The police force should not be the size it was in 1991. It says here a roster that was at 151 in June 2025 has lost more officers to retirements and resignations, putting them at 141 early December 2025. Rodrick said via text message in December that he plans to hire 10 officers, but he gave no timeline. And no officers have been hired to date. And he continues to say there's more officers on the road every day. But we know that's not true because we see the traffic accidents. We see the incidents throughout town. We know it's not happening. And by the way, no fault to the Toms River Police Department, which at one time was the most respected and highly regarded department in the state of New Jersey. And it has been knocked down day by Daniel Rodrick. It's interesting here. It also says, I don't want to go in, but in 1991, the population was 76,500. We're almost 30,000, well, less than 30,000 there. But the question on the ballot, on the agenda, is about extending the promotion list, which he vehemently opposes. And why does he vehemently oppose it? There has got to be somebody in that police department he wants to promote, and he's not on that list. Because that's the only way Daniel Rodrick acts. The people on the list deserve to be promoted. They passed the exam. They did their time. But Daniel Rodrick has promoted what? Sundak? Guy Mayer? Is there anybody else? I don't remember seeing any other promotions. Maybe there's one or two I just don't know about. But what he wants to do is get rid of that list because it expired and come up with a brand new list. But it doesn't happen overnight. And that's the thing that is important here. You need to put an RFP out for a process, a test, and move forward. That is government. That could take months. It could be up to 8 to 10 months, even a year, before you have a new list put together. This should have been done last year so that when the lists expired, you had a new list. But Daniel Rodrick is a school teacher. Daniel Rodrick is now a vice principal in Irvington High School, driving our vehicle. You've heard it. You've seen it. I'm not going to beat that to it like a dead horse again. He has no experience in governing. He's never led a business. He's never managed. So he doesn't know what it is to plan. And he's followed by Jonathan Solanas, who on his best day can get his highest score in Minecraft on his computer, a DJ on the weekend. He has zero experience as a business administrator. Stephen Hensel, friend of Peter Pasquarella, who's already flown the coop, and he's gone out and gotten a private job. There's no leadership. There's no management there. You want to say Drew Chabot, who's the chief of staff, a title that doesn't exist in Toms River, in the Toms River Code? He's somebody who basically did lead back at Hurricane Sandy. He was Hometown Heroes, okay? He was part of that organization. But he's a realtor and worked at Home Depot. This is who's leading this town, and this is why we have these problems. So tomorrow night, the council wants to extend the existing list while you go forward and produce a new list so that you can promote people today. But just as important is we need to hire officers. Back in July, there was a big hoopla. There were arguments. There were people standing up and going crazy because Toms River was changing the way we hire officers here. And I will tell you once, I will tell you 100 times, it had nothing to do with veterans. Veterans were already getting preferential treatment to be hired by the Toms River Police Department. It had to do with Daniel Rodrick and Jonathan Solanas becoming kings on how you hire in Toms River, and look at what it's done. We are 7 months later, 6 months later, not one officer's been hired yet. And in this article from the patch, read it. Read it, please. It says, here it is. It is not known how many applicants Toms River has had for the police department since August, when the hiring rules went into effect. Open Public Record Act requests for the number of applicants they received and for how many applicants have been interviewed has been rejected by Toms River. So you asked for a file, Open Public Record Act, and Toms River said, nope, you can't have that. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know if Karen has sent that off to Government Records Council, because to me, that's a violation. Why can't you provide that information? She didn't ask for the names. She didn't ask who. She said, how many? Why can't you provide that answer? Because Daniel Rodrick does not believe in transparency, accountability, or anything that has to do with the betterment of Toms River. And if you listen to me once, listen to me 100 times, it's time to listen. This is Daniel Rodrick's world of chaos, and he is taking us down with it. And it has to stop. And the new council, I hope, can do it. But when it comes to ordinances, there's no supermajority. So Daniel Rodrick can veto this, which means the lists expire, and Toms River police officers who are on that list will not get the opportunity for promotion now. They will have to wait until the RFP comes back for a new test and a new process. They will have to retake the test they already passed. And by the way, do not listen to the fact that Rodrick has said there's one person on the list. There's multiple lists and multiple people on the lists, and they expire at different times. This ordinance would extend all of the lists for up to 3 years. But it doesn't stop the fact that you can start a new process for new lists. You can do that at the same time. But I guess Daniel Rodrick can't chew gum and walk at the same time. He can only do one thing. It also goes on here to say in the last paragraph, while Rodrick said he will hire 10 officers, that would still leave the department well below the 163 outlined in the township's ordinance for the police department. That's the law of the land, a number that an analysis by the State Department of Criminal Justice said was not sufficient in 2004. So in 2004, when we had less the population that we have today, the Department of Criminal Justice said 163 officers were not enough, and that we should increase to 173 officers because of the population growth of Toms River, which is 44 square miles. But yet, we can't even get one officer hired by Daniel Rodrick. This is important to your public safety. Pay attention to it. Come out tomorrow night and be heard. You get to speak on this, okay? The rest of the agenda, calm down, Phil, move forward. There's some different things. The one that really catches my eye, which I don't know, I'm interested to hear about this. Authorizing, this is D on the agenda, which by the way came out Friday. Thank you very much, Council President Sikosi, for keeping your word and getting the agenda out early. And by the way, people, this may not be the final agenda. Things could always change. You got to make sure you pick the agenda up when you walk in the room. You want to be in the room where the decisions are made. Authorizing, so this is D, authorizing the chief financial officer to approve payments of certain bills between meetings. I don't like that because I'd like to know what those bills are, and I think the council members should know too. But I want to hear more about where that came from. The next one, which is E, approving amendments to the Township Employees Policy and Procedures Manual. What the heck is that? Don't know. We don't see that up on the website yet. There's already been a lot of changes made in Toms River on the Policies and Procedures Manual. Now, keep in mind, again, these are resolutions. So if the council vetoes these or does not approve these resolutions, the mayor has no veto power. This is on the consent agenda. The next one's interesting. A RFP for the council to represent the township, yeah, RFP for council, SEL, to represent the township council, CIL, due to mayor's authorization of the township attorney to sue the council. So if you remember at the last meeting, which was January 1st, and if I can find it here, I apologize. I'm looking. I have so many pages open on my computer. I'm not sure if I'm coming or going. We're going to find it here, though. We're going to find it. If we don't find it, I'm just going to. I'm not finding it. Okay, I'm just going to say what I remember. Basically, if you remember, the mayor stood up in a soapbox and basically said, I'm going to sue the council because they've come up with unfair rules, which basically could send people to jail for decorum issues. And I'm going to read it to you one more time. And so this is so the council can hire an attorney to represent them in the lawsuit that Daniel Rodrick threatened against the council, because the council would not be protected because right now the lawyers are working for the town and Rodrick is suing the council members. We have not seen a lawsuit yet, hoping we don't, because that's a ridiculous way to go. And all you're doing is feeding attorneys. And let's stop feeding attorneys. Let's start feeding the members of Tom's River, the residents. And what he's upset over is any individual causing repeated interruptions, disrupting the order of the meeting, and failing to follow directions of the council president or presiding officer may be in violation of 388-4X of the Toms River Township Code and may be subject to fines or penalties as per 388-5. Violations and penalties to the Toms River Code, any such violation will be subject to a hearing before a municipal court judge. So first of all, it's not for the council to decide what the penalty would be if somebody disrupts the meeting. What's disruption? Getting up and walking out like they did last meeting. Daniel Rodrick going on one of his yelling and screaming matches. Okay. That's what this is about. And I want to point out 2 points. One, I want to make sure you understand. So what is 388-4X? It says no person shall cause or recklessly create any disturbance that risks public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or engage in threatening or violent behavior which serves no legitimate purpose. Now remember, the burden of proof will be on the council to prove that this happened in front of a judge. The judge will decide not only if it happened, okay, but the penalty, which is in the next section, violations and penalties, which is 388-5, any person violating any provision of this article shall, upon conviction, be punished by a minimum penalty of $250, but not exceeding $1,000, or by imprisonment not exceeding 90 days, or both in the discretion of the court. Okay? Daniel Rodrick blew this whole freaking thing out of proportion. This is about him not wanting to follow the rules that have been set forth by this new council. I want to bring you back, however, to what really annoys me the most. July 30th of 2025, when the police hiring ordinance was passed by the puppets on council, and everybody was keyed on the veterans, like I just said, but it was really about Rodrick getting control of the hiring process so that he didn't have to hire, which he hasn't hired. And he's, sitting back on his duff. And I have no idea why you would jeopardize the public safety and protection of the residents of Toms River. Your family lives in Toms River. Why would he do that to his family? Why would he do that to anybody? But he continues to do it. And by the way, I want to point out also this list argument that's going back and forth. This list that is expiring that the council wants to extend is a list that goes back to Chief Mitch Little's days, which isn't that long ago. It's only to 2024. So does he want to get rid of the list because it was Chief Little's list? And anything to do with Chief Little he wants to get rid of because of vendetta? That's not how you govern. Grow up, Daniel Rodrick. Finally. Come on. Do something for the people of Toms River and not yourself. Again, I'll go back to the fact that he's got somebody in the Toms River Police Department he wants to promote, and he can't because he's not on that list. That's my gut. I don't know that at all. I don't know who's on the list. I couldn't even tell you what officers are up for promotion or who could sit for the exam. I'm a resident of Toms River, and that's all I am. But I want what's best for Toms River. And at some point in time, the residents of Toms River need to demand that for Daniel Rodrick. And don't stand up for him because your taxes didn't go up. You got your garbage picked up and somebody plowed your street. Well, first of all, they didn't plow your street the past couple times. He's waited for it to melt. But more importantly, you're more important. Isn't your public safety important? Isn't your town important? And if you want to tell me, oh, if he hires police, they have huge salaries, they don't deserve this, they don't, bullshit. You go put yourself in the line of fire for somebody you don't know, you have never met, and tell me differently. Tell me that you would do that. You may do it for your family. Somebody breaks into your house, you're definitely going to protect your family. But a stranger you've never met in a burning car on Route 37, are you jumping in and helping? No. You know the answer. Most people are not jeopardizing their lives. But police officers take an oath of office to serve and protect. You didn't do that. So don't tell me about what they make, and don't tell me about what they deserve. We deserve better in Toms River. They need to be hired. They need to be protected. They need to be the cream of the crop. But I want to go back to this ordinance and talking about the fact that Daniel Rodrick was crybaby about complaining about the penalties that were set forth. I'm holding in front of me another ordinance that was passed that night. And this ordinance was about the unhoused people who were in the municipal parking deck. It went through, there was no discussion that night, and it was about keeping people out of the parking deck so they couldn't congregate. If they didn't have a place to go, they couldn't hang out in the parking deck. And if they did, they could be arrested, fined, penalized, whatever it is. But also in this ordinance that was not paid attention to that night, it says, should a person or organization violate any of these conditions? Okay. So what is that? What are the conditions? Okay. Basically, it is they shall be warned of such by peace officer or other township official and shall have 24 hours to remediate the violation. Continual non-compliance with these conditions may result in a bigger violation of trespass. Okay. And what is that? What was the violation? It basically says, where is it? So basically in here, unlawful operating and traveling to and from, it's basically about helping people in the parking deck. If you go to help somebody, no person or organization, okay, if you go to help them, you are violating this new ordinance that was passed on July 30th. And what are your penalties? In accordance with NJSA 40:49-5, any person or organization convicted of violating said rules and conditions shall be subject to a fine not exceeding $2,000 or imprisonment in the Ocean County Jail for not exceeding 90 days. Okay. So if you go and help somebody in the parking deck, bring them food, bring them a blanket, assist them to get where they need to go, you're in violation of this new rule set by Daniel Rodrick's council of puppets at the time, and you will be fined and will go to jail. Okay. But yet, Daniel Rodrick shouting, screaming, and interrupting a council meeting, he complains about the fines and penalties that could occur there. That upsets me, and it should upset you because you're residents of Toms River, whoever you are, you're human beings. We need humanity to return to Toms River. And it's not with Daniel Rodrick. Other thing on the agenda, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but come out. G is to basically terminate the shared service agreement that was signed by Daniel Rodrick and his council to basically send the animal shelter, which I sued over last year, to Ocean County. Not quite sure what the council completely has planning, but we'll hear about that tomorrow night, I'm sure. I'm happy to see that the animal shelter will be opened. It needs to be reopened. We need it here in Toms River. I've rushed through a lot. Top 3 points. Come out tomorrow night. 6:30, Toms River Council meeting, the Toms River Municipal Building. Show that you do not support the Daniel Rodrick chaos administration. Be heard respectfully. And when I say respectfully, when we collect signatures to recall Daniel Rodrick, if somebody says, I won't sign, we walk away. If somebody says, please do not stand there, we walk away. We are respectful in everything that we do to get over 15,000 signatures, but we still need more signatures. We need it now over 11, I think, what did I just say, 10 days to go. 2, don't give me about Daniel Rodrick being upset about the rules. The rules, they're set by the council. Follow them. Be respectful. I can't believe you're arguing over the fact that you can't hold decorum at a council meeting and you're worried about the penalties for it. Then just be respectful. And 3, Toms River police officers deserve more respect from this administration. They deserve our respect, and we should come out and support the fact that this council wants to give those the opportunity who have earned it to be promoted, and new people who now meet the criteria, let's get them on board and let's get them over the next year the opportunity to be promoted. I'm Phil Brilliant. This is Simply Brilliant. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I hope to see you tomorrow night at the council meeting. And if you haven't signed the petition yet, please, please, please recall Daniel Rodrick at gmail.com and we'll come to you. Have a great day.